All right, so you sent us a whole stack of stuff on this company, Sansera Engineering, their second quarter report. Looks like you want the full rundown.
Yeah, we're ready to do a deep dive into this one for sure.
All right, well, to get everyone up to speed, Sansera, they're a big player in the precision engineering world, making parts for, well, everything. Cars,
Motorcycles,
even aerospace.
they've got a global reach too. Been around for over 40 years, operate in something like 26 countries.
Wow. Yeah, and a pretty solid history to go along with it.
And it's really interesting. They're based in India, which
Yeah.
is really becoming a powerhouse in global manufacturing,
Yeah.
especially in the auto industry.
Yeah, India is definitely a force to be reckoned with these days. And speaking of autos, the big news with Sansera is that they just had a record-breaking quarter.
Record-breaking.
Their revenue hit an all-time high, over NICE's $7,634 million. That's a 10% jump compared to last year. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, very impressive, especially when you consider the global economic situation.
Well, and even Sansera's own CEO admitted that things are a little bit shaky out there.
Yeah, it really speaks to their ability to navigate a challenging environment.
It does. So let's take a closer look at where this growth is coming from. So their traditional auto business, that's the auto IC segment, the one
Yeah.
that focuses on internal combustion engines, that saw a solid 9% increase.
Solid 9%.
Which is interesting because, I mean, everyone's talking about electric vehicles taking over, right? You'd think that part of their business might be, slowing down.
That's a good point. But what was really interesting was their motorcycle business. Within that segment, that surged, like really surged. 21%.
21%.
Yeah. Maybe people are just holding on to those gas-powered bikes a little longer than we thought.
Or maybe Sansera just has a real knack for that market.
Yeah.
But either way, they're not ignoring the EV revolution either. Their auto tech agnostic and XEV segment is, exploding. It's up 53% year over year.
Yeah, and I think snagging that big new EV customer is really paying off.
Yeah.
And, their focus on aluminum forging, I think that's going to be key moving forward.
Why is that?
Well, lighter components are going to be so important for EVs, right? Lighter components mean lighter vehicles, which translates to better range. They're really positioning themselves as, like, the key player in this lightweight solution game.
That is smart. But it's not all sunshine and roses, is it? Their non-auto segment actually shrank by 20%. That's got to sting a bit.
Yeah, it does raise some questions for sure. It seems like their off-road and agriculture businesses are facing some headwinds, and then a major aerospace client hit a few bumps as well.
So it's a bit of a mixed bag then. You've got strong performance in traditional auto, booming growth in the EV tech, but then a bit of a stumble in that non-auto sector. So how does this all affect their bottom line?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. Despite this uneven performance across their different segments, their overall EBITDA margin, and that's a measure of profitability, of course, held steady at a pretty healthy 17.4%.
Okay, can you break that down for me? What does that actually mean for someone who, isn't a financial whiz?
Well, basically it means that even with some segments struggling, they're still making a decent profit. And, this is partly due to their efforts to diversify, to not be so reliant on just a handful of big customers. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Oh, wow.
Just spread the love.
So what else jumped out at you from these reports?
Well, their investment strategy really caught my eye. They've been pouring money back into the business. Capital expenditures of, get this, RSS, $2,937 million.
Wow, in just the first half of the year, that's a lot of money.
It is. And on top of that, they just pulled off a very successful qualified institutional placement, raising a cool RS $12,000 million.
Now, for those of us who don't speak, fluent finance, what does that even mean?
Basically, it's a way for them to raise a lot of money from big investors, institutional investors. And this move lets them reduce their debt and really just strengthen their financial foundation.
So they're using that money to build for the future. What exactly are they investing in?
They're hitting multiple fronts here. First off, they're beefing up their manufacturing capacity, like big time. We're talking new presses, adding aluminum forging capabilities. They're really going for it.
More of that lightweight magic for those EVs we were talking about. It's like they're reading the future of the auto industry.
They are. And they're not limiting themselves to just autos. They're pushing into aerospace and defense, plus making a bigger push into EV components.
Got to stay ahead of the curve, right?
You snooze, you lose. What else? What else is on the agenda?
Oh, they're putting a lot of emphasis on research and development, too. They seem particularly interested in advanced radar technology.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And they even invested strategically in a company called MMRFIC Technology. just to boost their efforts in that area.
Always good to see a company that isn't afraid to invest in innovation. But
Hmm.
all this high-tech stuff, it can get a bit overwhelming. What about their day-to-day operations? Are they keeping up? Oh, they're not just investing in the shiny new products. They're making their whole operation smarter, going all in on digitalization and automation to boost efficiency. Think shop floor visualization, multi-plant monitoring, machine data applications. I mean, the works.
So they're basically creating like this super connected, intelligent manufacturing system. Sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, but it's happening right now.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. And it's not just about looking cool. It's about making the whole operation more efficient, more effective. Now let's talk about their order book, okay? They secured RS 3.2 billion worth of new orders this quarter.
Wow.
And there's noticeable growth in their non-auto and two-wheeler businesses.
Because they're not letting that slowdown in the non-auto segment get them down. They're bouncing back.
Exactly. Their total order book is now a healthy Rs, 20 billion, and it's diversified across segments. They expect it to reach peak revenue over the next 3 years. So that's a pretty solid runway for growth, I think.
It is. Sounds like CEO B.R. Prefam has every reason to be optimistic.
He does. He highlighted their strong balance sheet, the recent additions to their leadership team, and their strategic focus on those high-growth areas. All very positive signs.
So it's pretty clear that Sansera isn't just riding the wave, you know? They're actively paddling towards the future, embracing new technologies, and making strategic investments to stay ahead of the game.
They are. But there's a bigger question here that we need to consider, one that's relevant to anyone interested in the future of the auto industry. Will all these investments be enough to offset potential declines in their traditional business as the world shifts to electric vehicles? That's what we'll explore in part 2. Welcome back. Last time, we left off with a pretty big question. Can Sansera really stay ahead of the curve as the world goes electric?
Yeah, it's the question on everyone's mind, especially when you see how much they're still invested in, their traditional auto business.
And that's where their commitment to what I like to call smart growth becomes so crucial. They're not just chasing every shiny object. They're really laser focused on areas where they see that long-term potential, like that auto tech agnostic in the XEV segment we were talking about. And their order book suggests that that segment is only going to keep growing.
Yeah, it's like they have this dual strategy, right? Keeping one foot firmly planted in the present while reaching for the future with the other. And they're doing it, without losing their balance.
It's a delicate dance,
Yeah.
but they seem to be pulling it off. And you remember that impressive EBITDA margin they've maintained.
Yeah.
That's a good sign that they're managing costs effectively and making smart decisions, even as they, invest heavily in growth.
Right. They're not just spending recklessly. They're being strategic.
Mhm.
And that QIP they completed recently, that gives them a lot more financial flexibility to make these bold moves.
Exactly. They're reducing their debt and building a really solid financial foundation for the future. It's like they're preparing for a marathon, not a sprint.
Okay. So we've talked a lot about their financials and their strategy, but what about the human side of the equation? What are they doing beyond just making profits?
That's a great question, and it's something that, more and more investors and consumers are paying attention to these days. And Sincera seems to understand this. They're not just focused on the bottom line, they're actively engaged in initiatives that benefit their employees, the communities they operate in, and the environment.
Yeah, I read about this scholarship program they have. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Yeah, so they're providing financial support to students who are pursuing education, in the automobile industry. It's a way for them to invest in the next generation of talent and kind of give back to the community.
Yeah, I love that. And they've also been quite active in supporting healthcare initiatives, right?
Yeah, they've organized blood donation drives, TB awareness programs, and even helped to set up health camps in rural areas. So it's clear that they're committed to, making a positive impact beyond just their business operations.
Okay, so they're taking care of their people and their communities. But what about the planet? What are they doing on the sustainability front?
They're definitely making strides in that area. They've implemented a bunch of energy-saving measures at their facilities, and they're exploring renewable energy sources. They're even working on some really innovative projects. Have you heard about their trash bot?
A trash bot. Is that like a robot that takes out the trash?
Yeah, sort of. It's an automated waste segregator that helps to remove trash and debris from lakes and waterways. Pretty cool, right?
That is pretty cool. It's like something out of a superhero comic. It sounds like Sansera is really taking a holistic approach, thinking about, the bigger picture and their role in the world.
They are, and that's something that I think really sets them apart. They're not just a company, they're a part of the community. They're taking that responsibility seriously.
Okay. So we've covered a lot of ground here. Their financials are solid, they're making smart investments, they're committed to sustainability and social responsibility. What's the big takeaway here?
I think the key message here is that Sansera is a company that's built to last. They're not afraid to embrace change, they're financially sound, and they're committed to doing business the right way. They're a company with a conscience.
And in today's world, that matters more than ever.
Absolutely. Now, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, there's one more area we need to explore, one that's becoming increasingly crucial for companies in the manufacturing sector: digital transformation.
All right, let's talk about that. We touched on it a bit earlier, but what exactly does it mean for a company like Sincera?
So they're making significant investments in digitalization and automation, to enhance their operations and stay ahead of the curve. It's all about leveraging technology to make, well, everything from their production processes to their decision making more efficient and effective.
Okay. Can you give us some concrete examples? What are they actually doing?
Sure. So they're implementing cutting-edge technology across their entire value chain, from the shop floor to the top floor. They've introduced, for example, shop floor visualization systems that provide real-time insights into production processes.
Oh, so like they can track performance, identify bottlenecks, and make adjustments like on the fly.
Precisely. They've also implemented multi-plant monitoring systems, which allows them to remotely oversee operations at all their facilities, which is, huge for a company with a global footprint like Sansera.
That's incredible. What other tricks do they have up their sleeve?
Well, they're using machine data applications to automate tasks, improve accuracy, and optimize resource allocation. It's all about creating a truly connected and intelligent manufacturing ecosystem.
Yeah, it's like they're building a digital nervous system for their entire operation.
That's a great way to put it. And they're using data analytics to gain, deeper insights into their operations, which helps them make better decisions, improve efficiency, and reduce costs.
So it's not just about adopting technology for technology's sake. They're using it strategically to drive real business value.
Exactly. And this digital transformation is going to be, crucial for Sansera's continued success, especially as they navigate the complexities of this, evolving automotive landscape.
I'm starting to see a pattern here. They're embracing the future, whether it's through their product portfolio, their investments, or their approach to technology.
And that's what makes them such an exciting company to watch. They're not standing still. They're constantly evolving and adapting to the changing world around them.
And they're doing it with a clear focus on sustainability, social responsibility, and, creating a positive impact. That's a winning combination.
Agreed. Now, before we move on to the final part of our deep dive, I want to leave you with a question to ponder. We've seen how Sansera is embracing this digital transformation, but how do you think this technological shift will impact the broader manufacturing landscape in India?
That's a good one. I think it has the potential to be a game changer. It could create new opportunities, improve productivity, and, make Indian manufacturers even more competitive on a global scale.
It's definitely a trend to watch, and in the next part, we'll explore Sansera's specific digital initiatives and what they could mean for the future of manufacturing in India.
Welcome back. So we've been unpacking Sansera Engineering's journey so far, and now we're really diving into the tech that's powering their future, and maybe even India's manufacturing future, too.
Exactly. We've talked about how they're using things like shop floor visualization, multi-plant monitoring, even those machine data applications. It's almost like they're building a digital nervous system for their entire operation.
Okay, yeah. I'm picturing, like, this futuristic factory where machines are talking to each other, data is just flying everywhere and decisions are made in the blink of an eye. It's kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah, that's the vision of a smart factory. And Sansera is making it a reality. Think about the benefits, right? Increased efficiency, less downtime, better quality control, smarter use of resources. I mean, the list just goes on.
Okay, all right. So how are they actually pulling this off? What's the tech behind all the magic?
But they're tapping into a whole toolbox of digital tools.
Yeah.
We're talking Internet of Things, cloud computing, data analytics, even artificial intelligence.
Okay, break it down for me. What does that actually look like in action?
Imagine tiny sensors on all their machines, constantly collecting data and sending it to the cloud. That data is then analyzed to spot patterns and potential problems before they even happen.
So they're basically like predicting the future of their machines. That's wild.
Yeah, It is. And they're using AI to take things even further. Think like AI algorithms doing quality inspections or even predicting when a machine needs maintenance.
Wait, so are robots like taking over the factory floor then? What happens to all the human workers?
Well, that's a common worry. But Sansera is actually all about empowering their employees, not replacing them. By automating those, repetitive tasks, they're freeing up people to focus on the things that require human skills, like problem solving and creativity, the stuff that robots just can't do.
So it's more like humans and machines working together as a team.
Exactly. And this kind of collaboration is leading to a more skilled and engaged workforce. It's a win-win for everyone.
Okay, so Sansera is doing some really amazing things, but how does this all connect to the bigger picture of manufacturing in India?
Well, I think Sincere is setting an example, proving that Indian manufacturers can compete on a global level by embracing these digital technologies.
So they're kind of leading the way.
Absolutely. And other companies are paying attention. Plus, the government is actively promoting digitalization in manufacturing through initiatives like Make in India. There's a real buzz.
Yeah, it's like a chain reaction. More companies go digital, the whole ecosystem gets stronger, and it just keeps building. But surely there are some challenges, right? It can't be all smooth sailing.
Of course, yeah. There's a constant need for skilled workers who can keep up with this rapidly changing tech. The costs of implementing these systems can be pretty significant. And then there's the whole issue of data security. I mean, these are not small hurdles to overcome.
So there's still a lot of work to be done.
Absolutely. But the potential rewards are enormous. Think increased productivity, greater competitiveness, more jobs. I mean, this digital transformation has the power to completely reshape the Indian economy.
It's like we're watching a story unfold in real time, and Sansera is right at the heart of it.
They truly are pioneers,
Yeah.
paving the way for other manufacturers in India.
And that's why we love doing these deep dives, getting to explore these stories of innovation and change. It's always fascinating to see how companies are adapting and evolving in the face of new challenges. So for anyone out there who's interested in the future of manufacturing, keep your eye on Sansera Engineering. They're doing some pretty incredible things.
And keep listening to The Deep Dive for more insightful explorations of the companies and the trends that are shaping our world. Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you next time.